What is up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's definitely been a little bit since my last video, a week on the calendar date from when this is coming out. Um, Honestly, I've just been kind of sick. Recovering from Anime Expo, first off, because that was just generally pretty exhausting. And then, yeah, I was dealing with a little bit of sickness. And then I've also, and speaking a little bit to the future of this channel, I've been working on a video um, talking to a couple people, getting that script done, just kind of going through all that process. So it's been, I haven't been doing nothing, but this definitely should have gotten out sooner with the update. The next update now coming, what, like couple hours in the future, but still wanted to get this out just to kind of go over everything here because I mean this is as much a journal for me as it is a video for you. um, so we're going to be going over last week's updates and then a bunch of cards that have been revealed. I think I got like 15 to go over now that I've let a backlog kind of fill up. But ain't going to get done unless we get started. So let's get into it. So starting off with the July 3rd X update, sorry. This was the initial update about the Cyberpunk TCG being at Anime Expo. Pretty kind of non-important or just relevant at this point. But their updated print and play decks are out now. Dexter Deshawn, one of the new cards showcased in that. And then there's also Big Day for card reveals where they released a bunch, all of which I'll be going over later on in the video. Um, and then there is an early look at one of their first organized play promos, being Adam Smasher Metal Over Meat. Looks really good. Definitely kind of Smasher esque in the sense of it just being menacing, and I mean, he's just pouring holding some poor sap. We don't really know what level this is going to be exclusive to. We don't really know much about the organized play right now beyond the general kind of little graph that they posted along with the Kickstarter of like the flow chart of events, local and kind of bigger world level. Um, but yeah, so this is still pretty cool. I believe the update that's coming out later today is specifically meant to be about organized play, or at least they said something about going into more detail about organized play in next week's update, in last week's update, or the one I'm going over right now. But to summarize it all and make it simple, the update that should be coming out today should at least kind of touch on organized play to my understanding. But I don't know, maybe it's on like card printing or whatever. So I won't know until you do. And then also, the Moment bundle is available on the CDPR Gear Store. It is 175 US. I think it was about 210 euros. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have that written down actually. Um, but I know it was a bit more based on like VATs and shipping or just all that kind of nitty gritty stuff. I got more details about it there. I gotta, I'll get, I'll go onto the actual like tab for it and kind of show that off there. And then yeah, they just get a little bit of extra there going over Gen Con, which is about 3 weeks out from now. So definitely something to be looking forward to for the community and the team. There should be another kind of drop of reveals that weekend, I assume, based on what we got this weekend. But again, we'll just know when we get there. But this is the Moment bundle at the gear store with the deck box, dice, playmat, and promo cards being kind of adjoining, but also kind of not. As you can see here, the foot doesn't really connect on the two, and the gun doesn't either, but the art generally kind of connects. I know a couple people were a bit miffed about that, and I mean, I don't really have any defense in that department This is the deck box that they had. It was just the normal deck box if you're looking at the Kickstarter, not the Preem one, because the Preem deck box came with the little dice tower as well. This bit comes off, and then yeah, you got this for the dice, and then the images on the sides there, and Cyberpunk TCG on the front, and then this being a better look at the detachable deck box lid there. You got the playmat here, and then the set of acrylic dice there. I don't think they're um not displate, sorry. Um the company that they worked with for the Kickstarter. I can't remember the name right now, but I'm pretty sure they aren't because if you go into the bundle contents, it will kind of break it all down. For the dice, it says set of 6 acrylic dice in iconic edge runners, yellow and green. Doesn't say anything about them partnering with the company again for these, so I'd assume not. The flip out deck box with detachable dice tray and full of the moment artwork. Woven edge neoprene playmat 60 by 35 centimeters featuring full of the moment artwork. And then the exclusive Nova Rare promo, well, not promo cards, but exclusive Nova Rare cards um, that are textless there. Importantly, not mechanically unique. And then other things to kind of note in this is that it's still in development, and it says final or product images may differ from the final shipped versions, which isn't too confidence inducing if you're looking to pick up this bundle. But that's just something to note there. And then the other kind of big thing to notice is that it is pre-sale, as they say, and that all items won't ship until they're available to. And they estimate it to be ready to ship during the month of March 2027. So about what, 6 months out from now? No, even more. I think this is the start of the seventh, so maybe 8 months or so. So it's definitely going to be a long while before you actually receive this bundle. Um, but I mean that's kind of the way things are with the really like print to demand, except not print to demand, but kind of made to demand bundles and just stuff like this in general. I will say they wanted to overpromise, or sorry, underpromise and overdeliver. So not saying this will come out then; it could be sooner. But at that point, or at this point, this is really just speculation. Um, and then as for kind of the pricing breakdown, according to the Kickstarter at least, the playmats were going for 40. The deck boxes were going for 60, so take the deck box and the playmat out, and that's $100 worth of the value. And then the dice aren't Dispel. That was it, not Displate. Displate made the metal cards and metal posters. Dispel was the company they worked with for the dice. Those ones on the Kickstarter were going for 95. But these ones, I won't say, well, they are less nice, but just more in like a kind of look like just amazing looking way. Like there's not as much kind of general design with these ones. And basically it leaves you with the promo cards and the dice making up $75 of value. Um, which I mean, take that how you will. I will say, personally, I would have really loved it if there were sleeves in this too. I think it would have been a much easier sell to a lot of the community. But this is, as it says, a premium accessory bundle, and that looks to be carrying a bit of a premium price tag to it. So buy it if you want. I wouldn't buy it for the money, but if you love Smasher and Rebecca, maybe if this scene holds some significance to you, then if you're in a comfortable enough spot, then go for it if you really want to. But if not, then I wouldn't feel too pressured into it as well. I know I was looking on the Discord when this kind of came out, and there were at least a decent amount of people who mainly just wanted this for like at certain parts of it, so like the playmat or the deck box, or like maybe they just really wanted the dice or the promo cards. So if you really want like any kind of separate piece of this bundle, it'll likely be available on the secondary market for less than the $175 price tag this is carrying with it. You'll probably be overpaying on kind of what the real value would be assigned if you got it all together. But in the long run, you'll kind of be saving some money if all you really want is like the deck box, most at least most likely. I'm not going to speculate on pricing in the future because then I would just go insane if I stayed on that subject too long. Sorry, my voice is already kind of losing itself again, so gotta speed this up a little bit. But this was another big update. It was an update on Rebecca having a moment promo card availability. This is kind of where they mentioned, or really just clarified where it is going to be available, because there was a lot of hubbub surrounding there even being in a convention promo, mostly by people that were kind of setting out to want to kind of master set everything or just collect everything for this game. I will say you probably won't be able to, and to just kind of focus on a singular aspect. And then otherwise, just promos are a good thing for this game. It drives interest. It drives kind of a reason to stay interested and to push yourself to be the best player in this game you can be for that kind of reward on the back end. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that in general. Not going to get too into the weeds in it because then that is likely going to take up most of the voice I have left. Um, but yeah, they say, or at least they already were at Gen or Anime Expo. They'll be at Gen Con, Japan Expo, which is in France, which surprised me because I legitimately thought it was in Japan, and then it turns out it's in France. So a little surprising, but we'll live and learn. And then also Spiel Essen 2026. Those are the at least kind of closer conventions. And then there will also, and this is the big thing, be a digital convention where just like if you're a backer, then you are going to be able to attend that, as they kind of go into more detail here. That said, we understand attending in person isn't always possible. That's why we're also planning a digital convention event for the Weird Crew once Kickstarter fulfillment begins. Weird Crew members who attend the event virtually will receive the same Rebecca having a moment promo card, giving all our backers a chance to obtain it. Weird Crew again is if you back the project while it was in Kickstarter, then you are Weird Crew. If not, then you aren't. And you're just kind of out of luck on that department as of right now. The digital event will be an amazing opportunity for us all to get together, crack some packs, and celebrate the Cyberpunk TCG wherever you happen to be in the world. So obviously, this will be after kind of fulfillment begins. We don't really know more details about it at this point, like how it's gonna is it going to be a Zoom call, which would be crazy if it's going to be over the Discord? Just no idea. And they will definitely be sending more updates as we get closer to when this event will actually be. So be on the lookout for that because you'll get to hang out with the community and yeah, get the Rebecca having a moment promo card just for showing up and having some fun with some buds. So definitely should be fun in the future. And then some FAQ questions, frequently asked questions, which is yeah. We're just gonna get into the first one. What is Weirdco's stance on mechanically unique promo cards? Weirdco will never make a mechanically unique promo card. Our promos will only ever be variants of cards widely available in Cyberpunk TCG booster packs and or starter decks, which is very nice to see, especially coming off of Magic the Gathering myself, where it seems like every other month there's a mechanically unique card locked in a secret lair that gets immediately just bought out by scalpers in the first like 20 minutes. So this is very nice to see. Will promo cards ever be region locked in the future? So essentially, if you don't know what this means, let's say they have um, like they're attending a couple conventions in the Asiatic region, so like China, Japan, South Korea, and they have a promo card that is only available in that region, and it won't be available in any way for like any conventions in the U.S. or Europe or just anything like that. And then they say to that, where possible, we will always try to make promos available in both U.S. and Europe as a minimum to avoid extreme cases of region locking, which is also pretty nice. Can I get a voice actor or actress in this this occasion, signed version of Rebecca having a moment. Unfortunately, it simply isn't possible for us to get all of those promos signed by Alex Cazares, or Cazares, sorry if I'm saying it wrong, Rebecca's English voice actor from Edgerunners. That opportunity will be open to people attending Anime Expo on Friday, July 3rd, which was the day before this came out. So a little late on that. When will we see the rules text for Rebecca having a moment? It'll feature in Cyberpunk TCG Set 2, and you'll discover her rules text during that set's reveal season. This textless promo version will be fully playable once Set 2 is released and will function identically to its full text regular variant. And then, does this mean the Weird Crew will get access to every convention promo moving forward? Answer is no. The Weird Crew will have exciting opportunities to receive more cool promos in the future, but we cannot promise access to every convention promo. So just a couple things there to note. Um, One thing I will say about this is that it would have been very, very nice if this came out like the week before Anime Expo, or just even like 2 weeks before, because a couple people made decisions to go were not based on the kind of perceived exclusivity of the promo card that was back then, where it was just going to be, at that point we only knew it was going to be available at Anime Expo and Japan Expo for sure. So just this amount of clarity would have been a lot nicer before people made hundreds and $1,000 decisions. But you know, I will have a video coming out on that hopefully in the next 2 days. I was just talking today actually about a couple people that made those type of decisions. Um, and then yeah, I got the script down, got a bit of the kind of setup for the video down, so I just got to film it, which shouldn't take longer than hour and a half or so, and then I got to edit it, which if I actually put my head down and work on it, should all be done in like the process of a day. So that should be out in the next 3 days or so. I think the video on the updates coming out later today should come out first. Um, Really just kind of depends what I'm feeling, and also a little bit as to how important or just big the update is in general to the game. But moving on, this is the showing off the print and play decks, the updated versions. This one is the Heist. This is kind of Jackie and Friends with V, Victor, and Jackie Wells. A couple new cards with that you can see already with Dexter Deshawn that were revealed through this. I'm sure you've already seen them by now. But if you are looking to get this printed, it's kind of how it looks like for that one. And then for the Embracing Power one, or just kind of the a lot less Arasaka centered deck here. That's how this one looks. I've been able to play them with a friend actually, and I will say, at least right now, I'd say Embracing Power seems to be better. Definitely a lot more just kind of physical and board state focused, with the other one having a lot more kind of combat tricks with reboot optics, floor it. Just seeming a bit more control-y, and yeah, just a bit more kind of mid-range too, with this one just being on your turn you play your big unit or you attach a gear to it and you pass. So definitely a bit of work around there. This one seems a little stronger right now, but maybe, I don't know, you just need to kind of learn how to play around it with the other one as well. Still kind of early into that to really give a final judgment or verdict on it definitively. But yeah, that is all the updates up to this point. So if you want to click off now, then thank you for watching this far. But if not, then we will be going into the 15 revealed cards that I have to go over. Uh, Hopefully, my voice lasts that long, but if not, I don't know. I'll just have to drink some water mid recording, I guess. Also, if you want to see my takes on these cards the day they come out, then you can head on over to my Twitter, or X as it's formerly called now, but no one calls it that really. At least not many. So yeah, if you want to check that out, the link to my profile is in my channel description, or just kind of my channel details. And yeah, give a little, what even is it, like couple, just like a very short take on it, initial reaction. Um, yeah, I'm gonna stop plugging that and just move on to the first card because my voice is only growing weaker. So starting off with Misty, Mender of Broken Spirits. This unit has 3 cost, 2 blue ram, and 0 power. That also cannot attack, which, if you're just going off that, seems really horrible. But it's got an ability where at the end of your turn, you choose a card type, then reveal the top card of your deck. If it's the chosen type, add it to your hand and ready 1 Eddy. Otherwise, trash it. Um, what One thing that I kind of noticed off the bat is that it has pretty decent survivability, mainly because this card is never really going to get spent unless your opponent plays something like a corporate surveillance. So you can't really get attacked into, and it'll just kind of sit there and keep generating you value, which is pretty nice. With its possibly cumulative card draw, or maybe if you're playing like a red blue programs deck where you're trying to get like a bunch of cards into the trash and then bring that back with Alt Cunningham, then this is just a really good way for that as well. Let's say you don't have any gear in that deck and you name gear, and then you can reliably just kind of get a bunch of stuff into the trash. So that's good for any decks that care about having any amount of cards in your trash pile. Also, ready's an Eddy if you're right, which is very nice. um, could be important for like a quick program that you have up or just a quick ability, or even if you're not really spec'd into that and you just have a couple like legends flipped, 1 Eddy, call a legend for just the one could be pretty nice as well if you're not really going to use it and your opponent's attacking that turn. And in general, I will say that I like this card. um, this was shown off in, what is it? CyberChoom TCG, I believe is the channel name. I could be wrong on that, but he came out with a gameplay video a couple days ago. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. That was really nice, and he actually runs this card in the deck that he's playing, and that really kind of was nice to see it in function. And I mean, from what I've kind of garnered about it too, it seems generally pretty good. Moving on to the next card, we have Mox Insiders. It is a 3 cost unit with 2 blue ram again, and it has 2 power. This unit also has blocker and a play effect where a rival unit must attack the next turn if it can. So similar to who is it? I'm forgetting right now. Hold on, I actually got to check. Who is it? I know it's a blue legend. Is it? Yes, Evelyn, where you can pay an Eddy and Spender, and then a rival unit must attack next turn if it can. This one has the same effect here, but it's just as a play trigger. So if you're kind of going off of that and trying to balance the Eddies, then this is really just kind of a 2 cost, 2 power unit with blocker that can attack if it needs to. And that's another important thing to note is that in a pinch, if you really need some gigs, it can attack and steal some just on its space, which is always very nice to have that flexibility. The effect is a bit situational based on like if your opponent just needs to keep some value pieces up instead of just attacking with them. I will say that effect in general, I'm a little bit less practiced on, and I'm not too high on it. It seems a bit situational in my kind of opinion, but it is nice to know at least something that your opponent is going to do on their turn. Um, yeah, can attack. Blocker on any card is always really good. If that's something I've kind of come across while playing myself with the demo decks, is that blocker is very nice. Kind of lets you control the gig flow a little bit more, and save some units if you really need to. And then, yeah, only 2 RAM, so if you're running any blue legend, this can go in your deck. And then moving on to Kerry Axe Attitude Audience. This card cares whether you roll a d20 or a d1. Sorry, or not that, but technically yes, it cares if you roll a d20 by increasing its effect. But it is just the one to flip, not go solo. So 0 power, but also provides 2 yellow RAM. And his effect is when you roll in a gig from your fixer area, you may ignore the result and re-roll it once. And then when you roll a minimum gig or a max value on a gig, then you get to draw 1. If it's a d20, then you draw 3 instead. This is one of the cards that was hinted back in the clue section. Initially, I thought this was Johnny, mainly because it only said it cared about if you rolled a maximum, or I forget what it said specifically, but it mentioned like the d20 or a maximum, which is very in line with red. It didn't mention the minimum bit, so kind of throwing us off a bit there. I think I mentioned Kerry as like a possibility back there, but my guess was Johnny, so I'm wrong on that. Um, it is pretty flexible and broad legend, so it just makes it really easy to spec into yellow if you need to. And then if your deck cares about just gig values or street cred in any way, then this is also a very nice addition to that deck, because it allows you to just kind of control that more. Let's say you're like you roll a d4 and like you need a minimum gig and you roll like a 3. It's very nice to just have that kind of second chance to get it. Or just let's say you're playing against red as well and you know they want kind of higher values. It allows you to try to re-roll for lower values. So just any game that kind of cares about gigs in any sense of the way, or just street cred and gig values, this is going to be pretty nice in. um, and then yeah, like I said, just a really kind of easy buy into yellow, as it just being kind of more broad, and just broadly more synergistic with a lot of other colors, game plans that you could really spec into. Um, Moving on to a red card, is another 3 cost blocker. This one is not La Llorona, it's La Llorona. Um, I mean, who really cares if you're saying it right or not? But this is, yeah, La Llorona, Ghost of the Past. 3 cost with 1 red ram and 3 power, which is a bit more than we've seen on most blockers up to this point, and isn't nothing that I've come to kind of understand in actually playing the game. Uh, like I said, it has blocker, and then when this unit uses blocker, you get to increase a gig by up to 3. So a very good effect for red. Obviously, wanting to get gigs as high as possible, and then this unit can attack if you need it to as well, which is pretty nice. And then the 1 red ram, so any red legend that you're running, this can go into. Pretty nice slot in, just if you're caring about kind of higher gig values in any way for red. And it can always max a d4. So I know a couple cards care about having gigs at like max value, and let's say you have this in hand, you're going second. Just it's really easy to just kind of preemptively get that on your turn if you haven't rolled your d4 yet. And generally just a pretty nice and just kind of generally good card that can work with a lot of different strategies. Um, and then moving on to Sol Bright Storm Rider. Uh, it is in, or not it, he is an 8 power unit with 2 green ram, so another powerful 8 cost unit for only 2 ram of their respective color. And then he has 14 base power. And then his effect is other friendly units have +2 power while attacking, which is nothing to scoff at. And then at the end of your turn, ready up to 3 friendly units. Could ready Saul, could ready, yeah, just literally any friendly unit. No stipulation on it, just as long as you have them on the board and it's the end of your turn, you get ready 3 units, which is a lot. Um, yeah, like I mentioned, he can ready himself. It's a very beefy unit. It's hard to imagine he won't be stealing 2 gigs every time you play him, or possibly even 3. Um, plus 2 power, yeah, is a lot in just any battle. Just considering a lot of kind of cheaper blockers are just 2 power on their own. And then also, if you have like an Evelyn Parker in play, the unit version where it's like 0 power, just having 2 right off the rip is also pretty nice. Allows them to steal gigs on their own. And then he's also really good in any kind of turtle strategy deck. So if you're playing a bunch of blockers that can also attack, just putting him out there and having like a bunch of blockers to be able to go in, steal you some gigs, and then ready themselves at the end of turn is pretty nice. Um, just yeah, generally another very strong 8 costed card that, at least in my opinion, continues to make the Atom Smasher Legend shine that little less brighter. But again, I kind of undervalue Go Solo Legends, just admittedly. So maybe it's actually a lot better, and maybe something I'm gonna get slapped in the face by a lot. But moving on to one that I know is really good for sure, we have Yorinobu Arasaka Steel Dragon. He is a 7 costed red unit with 3 red RAM being required to be able to play him. He has 9 power, so another continuance of the trend of Arasaka units being tougher but still only being at 9 power. So definitely trying to get you to play Saburo if you're running even like a decent amount of Arasaka units in your deck. And he has a play effect. On play, you may play a unit with cost 4 or less from your hand or trash for free. It can attack rival units this turn. And then, that's not it. The first time an Arasaka unit is defeated each turn, draw 1. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure this also encompasses Yorinobu, and it also doesn't say whenever a friendly Arasaka unit. So just point blank, whenever any Arasaka unit on the board is defeated each turn, you get to draw 1. So let's say you have an a let me check actually. I don't know if Corpo security, it is not. I know there's a fair amount of, or at least a amount of Arasaka units with blocker on them. Like I'll mention negotiators, which we'll get into later. Goro, just either of the Goros. Field operator, and just anything you can stick blocker onto. But yeah, I mean, just possibly being able to trigger this on each turn, yours and your opponent's, and draw 1 is really good. If you're playing a deck like this, you're probably going to want to have a lot of units just attacking and blocking right off the rip already, anyways. So that's also really good. And then at best, you're pretty much playing this 9 powered unit with a super, possibly really big draw spell tacked on for only 3, which is crazy. Just if you've seen a 4 cost unit, this unit is pretty much just 3 to play, which is very, very, very good. I Yeah, I can't stress it enough. This card is great. I definitely think if you're playing 2 red legends, this it's hard to imagine this isn't going to go into your deck at all. Um, Even just like take away the draw, just having 2 units, one being 9 power, and the other whatever you want for cost 4 or less that you've seen already is just really good in my opinion. It's definitely one to keep your eye on when you're deck building as that kind of haymaker towards the top end or kind of the later stages of the game. Also, you can play him turn 4, which is still kind of mid range. So kind of towards the end of mid range, just really good in my opinion. And I'm gonna stop glazing him and finally get onto some of the cards revealed with the print and play decks, starting with Over the Edge. Um, this card is a program. It is a red program that costs 3 and has 2 red RAM. So you only need to be playing 1 red legend to be able to play this. And its effect is defeat a unit with power equal to or less than the value of a friendly D20. The highest costed unit that there is right now is 9. That's Atom Smasher. And there are 7 units currently above 7. Let me actually get that up right now. So 7 or more, there are currently 6 cards that are above that out of the 42. So we'll generally be able to give you like a 75% chance of taking out what you want to on the board. Or, I mean, yeah, it's really just with power equal to, so a bit more kind of manipulatable. I keep getting it mixed up between cost and power on spells like this, so that's just about my bad. Um, it is very easy to sell this early though, because this doesn't really do anything till like the final kind of stages of the game, but it is premier cheap removal later. Um, if you're able to draw into it or keep it in your hand, so that aspect of it is really nice. Just yeah, pretty easy to put in your deck. If it's not a removal spell, then it's just a really easy sell. So not the greatest based on when you draw it, because that really just kind of comes down to luck of the draw for this card and how useful it's going to be to your game. But nothing to scoff at, just nothing too great to be looking at, in my opinion. We then have Field Operator. It's another Arasaka unit, 3 cost, 2 green RAM, and 2 power. But it has a play effect where if your street cred is an even number, you get to draw 1, replacing it in your hand after playing it. I do find the art in the back a little humorous. Just kind of, yeah, I'm just gonna get off that train and get onto the actual meat and potatoes of the card itself. I personally don't really like it too much in my kind of experience playing with it. I would rather play an emergency atlas at most points. The card draw is conditional as well, which isn't too great unless you're kind of spec'd into being able to manipulate that, which in green, you want even values and equal sided gig dice, equal values on them. So you're probably going to want to have even street cred anyways, but I don't know. It's just only 3 cost for the 2 power when we know the base rate is 3 for 4. And then the card draw being conditional kind of turns me away from this personally. Um, I mean, it really just kind of depends, though, like how important the card draw is to you or whether it's not. But at least with my kind of experience playing the demo decks, I would rather this be an emergency atlas than a field operator. But yeah, again, could prove me wrong. Like I'm sure a bunch of other cards that I've said aren't the best or are good will. Um, Next, we have Goro Takamura losing its way. We've already seen him before, but now we have the updated version of him. This is a 4 cost green unit with 3 green RAM. So you're going to need to be playing 2 green legends. And then he has a base power of 4, but he also has an attack trigger where if all friendly legends are face up, this unit has plus 5 power this turn. So another 9 power Arasaka unit, really trying to get you to run Saburo in any Arasaka deck. I mean, at this point, you just kind of have to because of the value that you're going to be leaving off the table if you don't. I also will say that I don't know how this works with the Go Solo unit after it's defeated. Because after it's defeated, it's legitimately, or not legitimately, just literally removed from the game, kind of similar to an exile effect from Magic the Gathering. Um, this was a bit of a point of discussion in the Discord. I forget if we came to a clear answer or not, though. I assume because the legend is just removed from the game, it'd still be if all friendly legends are face up. So if it's removed from the game, then it shouldn't count towards this. And this ability should still be able to trigger if you have like a friendly legend face up. But then I also don't know how this works if you're playing three Ghost Solo legends and then they're all played and removed from the game, and then you have no friendly legends. So that'd be something to ask Weird Co about. Very rare, but it will happen at some point. Um, but kind of steering away from the technicality of it, I'd say it's still a good card. Definitely way more focused on attacking than any sort of defense. Um, but I mean, a 4 powered unit that can get up to 10 kind of easily if you're playing Saburo is at least going to be okay in my book. Not too great early, obviously, with all your legends still being flipped. But yeah, just generally pretty good. Pretty good at punching above its weight as well. If, let's say, your opponent goes to like a V Corporate Exile, just it having 9 is already better than V's base power of 8. So just off the rip there, I'd say, I mean, yeah, it's just obviously going to be really for just straight up attacking. Um, yeah, let's get into the next card now before I start waffling even more. We have Dexter Deshawn, One Last Chance. One thing to note is that he's yellow instead of his legend counterpart, which is going to be red. Not really too important at all, just something I wanted to point out. But yeah, as I said, this is a yellow unit with 2 yellow ram. So you're just going to need to be playing 1 yellow legend. And he also has 3 cost and 4 power. He also has the fixer tag, and he has 3 separate triggers on him. He has a play and attack trigger of adjust to gig by up to 1. Sorry, excuse me. And then a defeated trigger of if your street cred differs from a rival's by 10 or more, then you get to draw 2. So already is the average cost to power rate or ratio, as we've seen with Emergency Atlas being 3 for 4, just base on that. And then having the play and attack triggers are also very nice. Um, a bit less kind of reliable to be triggering his defeat ability. Obviously, you could attack him into a stronger unit and just get it done that way. But probably generally, it's going to be more your opponent kind of attacking into him if they want to, and to deny you the card draw there. So it's a little less decidedly so whether or not you're going to be able to get that defeated trigger or not. I haven't actually been able. He hasn't come up in any of the games I've played with the demo deck so far. I haven't played the most, but I mean, there's only one copy out of 30. Um, but it generally seems pretty good to me, especially with the amount of gig manipulation, if small or even while small, that he's going to be able to do. And then that just kind of adding up all throughout the game as well while he's on the field. So generally, decent card, more on the better side for me. Next, we have the updated Delamain Cab or Delamain Cab. This is a 4 cost blue unit with 2 blue ram and 4 power. And then at the end of your turn, if this unit stole a gig, you get to ready and eddy. So another thing about readying and eddy on at the end of your turn with a blue unit, again, it's pretty good if you just want to like flip a legend or something. Also helps out with like a floret, or a reboot optics, which we'll get into that next actually. Um, yeah, I mean, just not too much to say about it. Um, just kind of writes it out there as well. If you're gonna want to be going for gigs with this for the most part instead of units. Um, yeah, not too much to say. So I'm just gonna get on to reboot optics. This these in updated version. It is now blue instead of yellow. Gee, sorry. It has 2 blue RAM, and it costs 2 to play this program. It has the quick ability, and therefore the quick hack tag. And the ability is that the next time a rival unit fights this turn, it doesn't defeat the opposing friendly unit. It's a lot more of a flavor win just on its face there already, but also a strength win because I think that this is a very good effect for only 2 eddies to be able to save one of your units, or maybe you just really want an attack trigger. So let's say you're playing like an Evelyn Parker, you really need to draw a card. You can just attack her into like any unit or the gig area, or let's say they have like a blocker up, right? This is also like a decent way to possibly get your opponent to spend a blocker and then just play this, so get the card draw and be able to keep your unit. Just a lot of flexibility with this card on a good effect as well. Um, and yeah, just if you don't need it, you can just sell it. But I really like this card, kind of pretty high on its effect. Yeah, just generally pretty good. We will move on now though to Jacked in Voodoo Boy. I personally don't like this card. Um, kind of just at all. He is a 2 cost blue unit with 2 blue RAM, 2 power, and this unit can't attack unless you played a program this turn. It just feels like it should have blocker on it, in my opinion. Because, I mean, if you're not, it requires constant investment just for it to function. Otherwise, it's literally just spend 2 eddies, put something on the board that might be useful later, or just could not be useful on any of your turns. Like if you're not playing a program, obviously that's the deck this is going to go into. But like, I would much rather just have like a second hand Bombus, where like at least it's going to get some value with the blocker on it. Like I feel like there are so many better options that you could use for this card, or that you could use rather than this card. Like, I would literally have any other blocker card, and I mean like literally any other blocker card than this. And then yeah, I mean like if you're not playing a program, then it's literally just gonna sit there and do nothing. Like I just do not like this card at all. Um, like at best, it's decent, and that's like if you're playing a programs deck where your whole game plan is revolving around like playing programs. Because otherwise, this is just it's just really bad in my opinion. Um, and I really don't think I'm going to be corrected on that in the slightest. Moving on to the next card, we have Augmented Negotiators. This is a 3 cost unit with 3 power. No, sorry, not 3 power. With 2 power and 1 yellow ram. And then it also has the Arasaka tag, which could be important. Um, a little bit if you're playing with Saburo. And then it also has blocker as well. Can attack, doesn't say it cannot, which is very nice flexibility wise. And then when this unit uses blocker, a rival discards one. So I like this card. It's another 3 cost blocker as well to note. Disruption in any form of your opponent and their game plan is always great. Um, and at least in my experience, there's not always the most amount of cards your opponent's going to be having in their hand. So this could be really kind of impactful, just to get them to discard something, and it also makes them really think about attacking you at all. Like let's say they have 2 cards in hand, and they like really like both of them, but they have to take a gig. Like there is going to be a possible downside to that, where they can survive, but they're going to have to give up an important piece in their hand that would help them next turn. Or let's say like they don't really need the gigs, but they also want to keep something in their hand. It's just it's a blocker, and it can also function as like a deterrent to your opponent. Or like if it's like, hey, if you're gonna attack me, there could be this downside. I really like this way better than Jacked and Voodoo Boy. It's a very good blocker. Obviously, going to be worse against decks that will be drawing a lot and kind of earlier on as well, when your opponent has a lot more kind of flexibility with their hand and just more to discard as well, while they're still kind of sculpting it. Um, but yeah, I mean at worst it's a 3 power or 3 cost 2 power blocker that can attack. So not gonna receive any down marks from me. Moving on to Fool on the Hill. This is a 2 cost green program with 3 green ram, and then its effect is reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. A rival chooses whether you add them to your hand or trash them. If you trash them, draw 2. A little reminiscent of Fact or Fiction from Magic the Gathering, if you kind of know that off the top of your head. I'm not going to go into that card because I don't know the exacts of what it does, and I don't really feel like embarrassing myself. So we're just going to focus on Fool on the Hill. At worst, this is pay 2 to draw 2 revealed cards, which just in of itself is really good. Um, and then if you get the 2 in your graveyard, maybe maybe you care about that a little bit. Maybe you're caring a little bit for recursion. Seems to be a little less, or not even just a little less, but a lot less spread into green as a color as in a whole, and kind of recursion not being too prominent in green. But maybe you're kind of working with that. And I mean, yeah, this just feels like an auto include. At worst, you're selling it. At best, you're getting to look at like the top 4 cards of your deck, or just kind of going through the top 4. And then, I mean, even at worst, if you're playing this, like I said, it's pay 2, draw 2 revealed cards, which is just, it just makes Field Operator feel that much kind of less to me personally, and cards like that. When you see like how good cards like this are, definitely a nice reward for specking more heavily into green, and another nice card for green, which feels like they're kind of pulling away a little bit right now with the strength of their cards that are being released for it. I will say that the other colors haven't had quite as much revealed as green. Feels like green is getting more than the other 3. So maybe it kind of gets more balanced out as things go along. But green in general feels pretty strong right now. And if they keep getting cards like this, I think they're going to hold that lead. But moving on to one that was released just earlier today, we have Appetite for Destruction. This is a 3 cost red program. It is 4 red ram, so you're going to need to be playing the 2 red legends to get this in as well. And the next time a friendly unit wins a fight by 3 plus power this turn, it also steals a gig. So this is great for red, who part of red's color identity is overpower. So generally going to be caring about the unit's power, and this kind of just plays into that as well. It's a nice double attack or trample function to it. Um, Trample being obviously if you deal extra damage, it moves on. Being a little more harder in that sense though, with it needing to be 3 plus power. Um, but still a good effect if you're like you just need to take out one of the rivals, or an opposing unit, but you also really need to steal a gig. So this is just really nice for that as well. Allows for kind of a double function for your attack. And then if again, like with any program, if you don't need it, you can just sell it. So pretty good in my opinion. Definitely a nice inclusion for red as a color, as well. Moving back on, circling back to the other 5 revealed cards. Not that we, yeah, we'll start from the bottom up actually, saving the best for last, and I really do mean the best. Starting off with Nadia, Fighting Through Grief. She is a 6 cost unit with 8 power, 2 green ram. Um, if a rival controls more gigs than you, this unit can attack the gig area the turn it's played. So not too amazing for like a 6 power unit as well. 6 for 8 is fine on the conversion rate, and at least it has like that little bit of upside there as well. Definitely a lot more kind of come from behind card. If you're falling behind in the game gig wise, on just generally in the tempo, I'm not too impressed by this card personally. Um, yeah, I mean it's fine, but just if you're gonna be playing something for 6 power and just looking at like the other cards revealed, like the Yorinobu Steel Dragon, which is leagues better than this and is only one more to play it. It just feels like there are generally better cards out there that I would play over this, but it's not bad. I will say that, but it's not good either. So just kind of fine, really. Moving on to Victor Vector, you might feel a little pinch. This is a 3 cost unit with 2 yellow ram, so you're just going to be playing 1 yellow legend to put him in your deck. Then he also has 3 power, and then he has a play effect of play a cyberware gear with cost 2 or less from your trash for free. Equip it to only another friendly unit. So a little specification there, not important right now, but definitely could be in the future. Maybe of this set, maybe of just future sets as well. So nice to just kind of proof it right off the rip. Um, Important thing to note too is when you the effect will only target a cyberware gear with cost 2 or less from your trash, not from your hand. So you're gonna need to be a little bit further into the game for this to even like do anything with its effect. Definitely gonna be a lot better in just yellow and probably red decks as a whole. It'd be nice if it had blocker as well, but at that point, I just feel like you're getting kind of spoiled with like La Llorona and augmented negotiators, and just kind of expecting stuff to have that blocker tag on it. Um, it's not bad for sure. It's kind of on the better side of just fine, in my opinion. Um, that effect is really just for making up for the 1 power deficit to the average rate. Yeah, it's okay. Moving on to the next card, we have Screw Lovelorn Fool. Art's been revealed for a long while now, but finally coming out across the Anime Expo weekend. He is a 5 cost red unit with 2 red ram and 7 power, which is just the base right there. And then he also has a defeated trigger of add another unit from your trash to your hand. So definitely better with like red. Red seems to be taking on a bit of the form of like milling with All Is Lost, and now this one, and just Meredith Stout as well, being able to recur stuff from the trash a bit better. Um, so this also kind of plays into it. It's fine, I'd say. Um, like when you play it, it is just going to be like the kind of average rate there of the 5 cost unit with 7 power. Nothing too crazy, and then on the defeated, add another unit from your trash to your hand. That bit right there is going to be nice. Definitely a lot nicer if you're getting a lot of bunch of stuff in your trash and really caring about that as well. Um, Again, I'd say he's on like the better bit of fine, but again, nothing too crazy. But then we get to Sasha Yakovleva Won't Let You Down. And this is the secret rare art for her. There are only 4, so this is one of the 4. Looks absolutely beautiful. There was a video released on their Cyberpunk TCG socials as well as this card in person, and that also looks beautiful. So definitely just it just looks amazing. I can't really say much more than that, or we're going to be here for another 20 minutes while I think of every single word of phrase that I can come to mind with. It is a legend that has the ability to go solo. It To go solo, it is 5 cost starts off with a base power of 0, which is a very important thing to note, and kind of that you're going to have to play around with the survivability of this legend just straight up. But it also has the attack trigger where you reveal the top card of your deck and add it to your hand. So that right off the rip is nice. It's just attack, draw one revealed, but still draw one, which is nice right there. And then this unit gains power equal to that card's cost this turn. So that there as well is also really nice. Definitely a bit gambly. Of course, you could um, kind of play into the heavier side of cards with your deck. Just everything kind of generally costing more. Um, but this effect is still really good. Um, will vary from game to game and turn to turn. And then this legend also has a defeated trigger of a rival discards one. So a little bit more disruption on your opponent's end as well. And then another thing to point out is that this legend has the tag of Main's crew, which will obviously be a lot more important in set 2. I want to say set 2 is going to be the Edge Runner set, and then set 3 Phantom Liberty, but I don't know for sure, obviously. Um, but yeah, there's something to kind of set the precedent right off the rip. I mean, yeah, this is great. I like this a lot. Um, just whenever you attack, you get to draw, and then just the really like kind of liquidity of just it and from turn to turn, not really knowing how it's going to play out, just makes it that bit more exciting as well for you and your opponent. Definitely makes it a lot harder for your opponent to play off your board as well because they don't know how strong or weak this is going to be on your next turn. Um, it just feels like a constantly changing puzzle, kind of like the um, moving stairs in Harry Potter, where you just gotta try to guess at best or just kind of go with the flow at that point. Um, I mean, yeah, Tasha's one of my favorite Cyberpunk characters, possibly my favorite on some off like every other day. So just it's really nice to see how good this card looks here, as well as just its effect in general. I will pull up the actual base of the card as well, which still looks really good. So this is just the base version right there. Still, again, like I said right before, it looks pretty good. I think I don't really know because it's hard to just tell you if this card is good or bad in my opinion because it really just depends turn to turn and how you build your deck around her, and it's just interesting. Because yeah, I mean, it's just a bit of a puzzler. Like you can't really. I mean, you could definitively probably say whether this is good or bad, but just there's a lot of room and just kind of flexibility as to whether this is really going to be that good or just not. So definitely very interesting. Something to ponder and look into. Definitely a card that I'm going to be building a deck around. Um, yeah, just I'm just gonna end it there because I'm my brain is getting kind of fried at this point. Sickness is definitely wearing off, but the effects are still there, unfortunately. So wasn't as articulate in this video as I normally am. So hopefully it'll be better in the next two. Should be. Um, I'll be a bit more rested there as well. But I'm going to end this here and go sleep some more, try to recover because my body definitely needs it. And yeah, thank you for watching this far if you decided to. I hope you got something of value with this video. Um, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Hopefully, I will see you in the next video, but if not, oh well, I guess. Yeah. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time, streams. Peace.